All right. I think we can slowly start. If someone joins later, due to time difference, and then we can, they can still follow up. If not, then the other audience can watch the replay on YouTube channel. So welcome everybody. My name is Yasi. So some of you might have seen me in the last session. So I'm the co-chair of Crypto Value Association Startup Working Group. Together with some of my other colleagues, we organize online events for Startup Working Group members and open to all Crypto Value Association members, and some of the events are open to everybody to register. I'm also the founder of Web3 marketing agency called ProMind Scale, based in Zug, Switzerland. And today I'm very honored to have our guest speaker, Saša Starovojtov. I'm trying. He's the founder of Brandician, is a branding expert with a passion for helping startups and small businesses build successful and impactful brands. So with over 20 years of experience in business world, Saša has a wealth of knowledge and expertise to share. So in this workshop, Caring for Your Brand, a guide to bootstrapping your branding with archetypes and storytelling, he will share his proven method for creating a strong and distinctive brand. So even on a tight budget. So it's great for you guys if you're a startup, and he will guide you guys through the process of using archetypes and storytelling to create branding strategy that appeals to your target market and reflects your core value and your fundamental ideals. So in this workshop, it will be around 1 hour. And if you have any questions, feel free to put in the Q&A session. We will pick it up in between the chapters. And at the end of the workshop, if there are some other, if we have extra time, we will also try to answer as many questions as possible. So feel free to write down your questions or comments in Q&A session. And next, I'm going to hand it over to Saša.
Can I start? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Very nice not to see you. Actually, it's my first time when I present presentation to someone without seeing the faces of the people. But I'll do my best to connect with you guys and girls and like give you a very interesting presentation. I'm gonna have some breaks in between, so you can ask questions. And if I'm telling something you don't understand or you want me to repeat or explain, please please let me know. I have my friend Istok here who will help me to navigate the questions. And I just jump straight to the presentation. So enjoy the ride, fasten your seatbelts. And I represent Brandician, and Brandician is a small branding agency. And what we do, we create brands that customers love, and we use for that the psychology of content and design. Today's workshop I call Caring for Your Brand, and it's a guide to bootstrapping your branding with archetypes, storytelling, and ChatGPT. A little bit about me. I'm founder of agency Brandician. I'm very passionate about branding. I do that for over 20 years, and I really want to help passionate brands by sharing my knowledge, expertise. In my lifetime of Brandician, I've seen many bright people with bright ideas who weren't able to succeed because, in my opinion, they didn't pay enough attention to branding. And here I want to help you a little bit more about me. I'm the founder and artistic director of Portavan. It's a software company based in Vancouver, Canada. And we do software for telecoms. We have around 500 telecoms around the world that using our software. I'm also managing and teaching Aikido in a sport club, which is called Doki-ai. It's like Aikido, Doki-ai. And I also was the founder and president for 15 years of the Slovenian Aikido Federation. Also, I own a live music venue called Prulček, and we can boast with over 200 concerts every year that we do for free of charge for all public interested in culture. Also, I designed a boarding game that was the most selling board game in Slovenia for consecutive 2 years. And you might be wondering, oh my God, these things are so different. But no, all these things are united by my passion to branding and archetypes. I'll talk about archetypes later. So what's the plan for today? First, we talk about what is a brand and what is branding. And then I'll explain what are stories in archetypes in branding and how we can use human psychology and motivation theory to create a very powerful brand. And then we'll see some practical steps how to create and refine your brand on a budget. Okay, I really believe that you could save up to 70% of budget that is required by big agencies on your branding using my method. So either way, you can create an effective brand, either hiring an agency and waiting up to half year, pay 10 to 20,000 euros, or you can only pay third of that by reading 2 books, using my methods, and hiring a designer, and then you have the same result. Okay. Excuse me. So now we talk about branding. So here's some definitions. What is brand and what is branding and what is the difference? So brand is not about a business. It's about customers. Yeah. So what they see and how it makes them feel. So brand is what you stand for. What do you promise? Your brand promise. And what people see are logo, colors, shapes, and images, right? And very important about the brand is how it makes customer feel, right? What experience they have with your brand, what kind of recognition, what kind of trust and loyalty they can develop working with your brand. And then the branding, the difference between branding is a process, yeah? And process of creating a unique and consistent, very important, consistent image in the minds of your customers. And branding could be described as 2 parts. And first part is what you relay. It's your vision, values, language, tone of voice, your branding story. And then it's marketing activities, what you do about your brand. It's targeting, strategy, marketing, and I think promote at scale is very good specialist in that. Let's talk a little bit about the benefits of branding. I believe since you're here, you understand the benefits, but just let me summarize this. So branding is good because it improves recognition of your brand, it creates trust, it builds value, it attracts new customers, it sets you apart from the competition. And the most important, brand is something that allows you to compete with other companies on the market, not with just your pricing, okay? And it means long-term that if you compete with something else that pricing, you can do less, okay, and receive greater reward. And the thing that I want to stress today is the connection between your brand and the customer and its emotional engagement. So the benefits, the purpose of brand and branding is to create emotional connection with your brand. Also, the other benefits of branding is enormous in my opinion. So it helps you to rise employees' pride and motivation, improve stakeholder perception, so you can easily secure funding and attract partners. And also it increases customers' loyalty. You can create a deeper connection, and the customer will be preferring your brand over the others, and of course better market positioning and long-term success. But again, I really believe that you're here because you know the benefits of branding and you want to learn more. What I think is the biggest challenge of branding. During my work with different companies, I realized it's always the same pattern. You know, people think about their brand as the center universe, but unfortunately, it's not true. Since you need to present your brand to your customers, you need to understand the customer perspective. So the ultimate challenge of branding is understanding the customer perspective. Okay. So what is going to happen if you don't do the branding? Again, from my experience, the most common situation is like this. So you have this bright individual company with a very bright idea, and they develop some product or some services, and then they think, okay, it's time to present ourselves in the market. So they go to the artist and say, hey, could you please create a logo and a website for me, you know, and they gave the artist all the descriptions of the products, all the features and benefits and stuff like that. What they don't understand, that artists live in different galaxy, okay? And what they create is something beautiful, okay, and very good, but most of the time it doesn't reflect what customer needs. It doesn't connect with customers. But of course, you know, these aliens from the different galaxy, they love this artistic expression very much. But this is not what we need. So the ultimate challenge of branding is understand customers' desires. Okay, and if we had our own Lucifer in hand, you know, we would say, hey, Lucifer, go and ask these customers of ours, like, what do they truly desire? But unfortunately, we don't have Lucifer, so that's why we're going to figure some other way how to tap into human psychology using stories and archetypes. Okay, now I need some feedback. If you have some questions or anything you want to ask, please let me know now, because I have a sip of water and we can continue. Any questions? Anything?
Yeah, for those who joined slightly later, so just let you know there's a Q&A section in Zoom. So if you have any questions, you can put it there, and we will pick it up. And then in between chapters, we will try to answer them more at the end of the session. If not, right now there's no other questions.
Okay.
If there's no other questions, then we can move on.
Okay, let's move on. Stories, archetypes, and human psychology. This is a very interesting thing. We're going to talk about what is the story, and the story is just a narrative that conveys information, emotions, and experience. Okay, and purpose of the story is to convey meaning. Yeah, and this meaning could be like values, benefits, and some messages. Okay, if you know the history of human civilization, you know, we go back in, you know, 50, 100,000 years, maybe some scientists say 200,000 years. So we needed, in order to survive, human civilization needed to pass information from one generation to another. Okay, and the natural way to do that is a story. So it's natural way. Stories are the natural way we perceive, memorize, and transmit information. And this is why it's very good to use it in storytelling. I explain the psychological workings of this storytelling a little bit later, but now I just want to tell you a story. So there was this guy, Jeffrey. He was a very smart and talented guy, and he was an expert in this particular field. So he loved, it was his great passion, and after doing that for some time, he created the product, and this product was great. It immediately competed with the likes of Facebook and Google, but Jeffrey's product was about 10 times cheaper and did about the same. But there was a problem. With all this beautiful characteristics of the product, Jeffrey couldn't sell it. And he tried everything. He tried advertisement and he tried lowering the price, but no one wanted to buy it. And he was very desperate because he was about to lose his house and all his colleagues about to lose their job. And one day he met a branding specialist. So they went for a beer and they sat down and Jeffrey presented his story. And the branding guy said, "Oof, Jeffrey, you have a wonderful product, but the problem is that your brand is like kind of messy. Okay, so we need to clear and make sure that your brand is very focused and aligned." And they created a plan, they created a branding guide, and they redo all the workings of all marketing materials of the company. And they created new website, and they created some content strategy, and they do this and that. And after 6 months, Jeffrey sold a bunch of his products. Also, he sold his products to Facebook and Google, and now he's a very successful businessman. If he didn't met the branding specialist that day, I think he would suffer a lot, and him and his family. So if you see this chart here, every story follows the same kind of pattern. In the beginning, we talk about the context, and then we present some negative impact or drama. And then at the end, there's a happy end. And the value of the story is actually the difference between the pain points and the success points, right? So the same story, if you think about stories, all the stories are about the same. It's like this, they go like this. And again, the problem that I encountered during my practice is that startups, businesses, stakeholders, they think of their brand like it is everything. And they don't understand that what they need to do is present their brand story to customers and to make the customer the hero of the story and present themselves as the guide to the hero of the story. So here I will introduce this framework. In my practice, I used many frameworks, but this is one of the most recent ones, and it's very easy and it's simply great. So I recommend you to buy and read this book. Well, in order to save this 70% of your branding. And this, excuse me. This framework was created in 2017 by Donald Miller, and he wrote this book, Building a Story Brand. And again, please read it. You will enjoy it very much. So it's basically about the structure of the story. So while working on your branding story, you'll need to create this 7-step script, and it goes like this: a character with a problem meets a guy who presents a plan and calls to action that results in success or failure. So when I told you this story about Jeffrey, okay, it's this story. So Jeffrey had a problem and he met the branding guy, they made a plan, and then this plan resulted in success. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about are archetypes. So any questions here? Is the pace of the presentation okay? Anything you want to tell me? Quiet, so we should continue.
Yeah, I think the presentation, the pace is great. It's very clear, and people commented all clear so far, so it's great.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's continue. So the archetypes. Some of you definitely know about archetypes. I first read this great book of Carl Jung about 20 years ago, and I was amazed. And so archetypes. First was explained by Greek philosopher Plato as elemental form, which are universal expressions of meaning, behavior, and communication. And then further refined by Carl Gustav Jung, the psychologist who was studying human psyche. And he was realize that there is collective unconscious, so basically shared pools of memory and experience and some knowledge that all humans have, regardless of their culture and location and geolocation, right? What he did, Carl Gustav Jung, he said, okay, there are like these 12 basic archetypes, and these 12 basic archetypes are innocent. We're talking about character archetypes, right? And these are innocent, explorer, sage, hero, rebel, magician, etc., etc. So my explanation of archetypes is like this. So if a human being is some kind of computer, you know, where the psyche, human psyche is some kind of computer, then these 12 archetypes are the most powerful hardware, embedded hardware programs. Okay. So how our psyche works? You imagine the psyche was formed during these 200,000 years in order to help us to survive, right? So it's basically a pattern recognition software, okay, that like the most importantly detects a danger, okay? So if there is a danger, the hardware software immediately detects it, okay, and runs this freeze, fight, or flight software, right? But then also there's another software, like it's a story recognition software. So when like we need to make sure our future generations somehow survive, right? So when a human psyche detects the story, it says, oh, wait a second, this is important. I need to remember it, okay, in order to pass to other generations, okay? So and the archetypes, they look like this. So for example, I'm sitting here and I'm trying to connect with you guys, tell you a story, okay, and make sure you engage and it is interesting for you. So like kind of belonging and community kind of archetypal things. So at the moment, I'm talking about everyman archetype, you know, the connection, community, belonging, okay? But imagine right in front of me in my office, this guy goes and he stumbles and he falls down. So immediately this everyman program that was active before goes in the background and my caregiver program engages, right? So I go to the guy, I help him to stand up, I ask him if I can help him in any way, right? And then imagine the door, office doors open and beautiful lady comes in, okay? And my caregiver archetype goes in the background and the lover archetype kicks in, right? And I see the beautiful lady and, you know, my heart rate elevates and I have, you know, started getting some ideas and stuff like this. So this is basically a very strong ancient programs that run in our software, like pattern recognition software. Okay, so if you look at this character, okay, could you tell me without me explaining you what these characters are, like what kind of archetype it is? Yeah, check this. Yeah. I mean, this probably was meant for the live session, but as you can see, Forrest Gump and Dalai Lama and this baby with open eyes, innocent open eyes. Of course, this is like the innocent archetype. What about this? Can you recognize these guys? Are there any comments?
I don't recognize the first one.
The first one is flew over the cuckoo's nest with Jack Nicholson in the main character, and then the pirate and the Pepe Longstock. Okay, no, I tell you, I hope you know, but this is the where is it? The rebel archetype. Okay.
And the Captain Jack, which one?
So we can make any comments, anything you want to talk about, guys and girls.
Can you go back again? For example, Captain Jack, which archetype is it?
Just a second, let me go back. So this is all these characters, okay, all these characters are presented by one archetype. Which archetype is that? Not so hard to recognize: the rebel, the pirate, and the rebel again. Okay, so this is like this is the rebel archetype.
Yeah. Okay.
It maybe takes some practice to recognizing, but it's a very good
Yeah.
it's a very good practice.
Someone commented, is captain is the rebel or ruler?
Rebel.
Yeah. Wait, okay.
Okay,
But if the
could be.
three are the same, then it's the same category. Yeah.
Yeah. He was maybe a ruler for his crew, you know, but for us, for the readers or like viewers of this movie, he was definitely the rebel.
Yeah, the character type. Yeah.
Yeah, character type archetypes. Okay, so let's go to the next slide, and we talk about branding archetypes. Branding archetypes. So this is another framework that I would really love for you to get this book and read this book. I think it's also available for free in PDF, but you can also buy a hard copy. And this is really milestone book on branding, written by Margaret Mark and Carol Pearson. It's called Hero and the Outlaw: Building Extraordinary Brands Through the Power of Archetypes. And this is like very good thing to know. It's basically made my branding life very easy, because it verbalize some concepts that I was somehow intuitively aware of, but after reading this book, it was like, wow, I was doing it right for so many years, but without realizing why. Well, because of archetypes, because it's something that we all share. It's just what we need to consciously recognize it. So basically what they write about in their book, that branding archetypes humanize brand and company vision, mission, and values. So it helps for customers to evoke deep feelings when working with your brand, and it creates this instinctive understanding. So as we discussed earlier, these archetypes, you know, they're already embedded in our psyche, okay, in our hardware, so we recognize it immediately. If you only present your customers with features and benefits of your product, then they'll need to engage their brain software, analytical software, which is very slow and ineffective comparing to this archetypal characters that are already in us, you know, because they talk to our primal motivation. Okay, and of course, when you do that, the book says, and I totally agree, when you align some archetype to your brand, it will help you to differentiate your brand from competition and establish a strong and meaningful relationship with your target audience. So the book goes on about, like, look at these examples, you know, and if you analyze these archetypes of companies that you all know, you understand what I'm talking about without explaining what magician is, because everyone knows what magician is. It's like some archetype which is responsible for transformation. Or the rebel archetype, right? Diesel, Harley Davidson, Virgin, Che Guevara brand. Or everyman archetype, you know, some products and companies that are targeting like normal people, you know, no VIP, like regular people, like IKEA, furniture for everyone, KFC, Volkswagen, like, which is cars for people, you know, and stuff like that. And going the other way, you know, when you know the archetype of your brand, it helps you first, most importantly, to clear up all the noise, and it could also help you to define everything that your brand needs to present, namely colors, fonts, shapes, language, tone of voice, values, mission, culture, and of course the brand promise. So to illustrate this idea, let's do this. So now all of you, okay, help me to create this, create the brand for this company, which I think is hero archetype. Okay, so you don't know anything about the company, right? But you just know it's hero archetype. So please tell me, which colors of these 4 should we pick up for the hero brand?
Yeah, you can comment in the Q&A box.
Any ideas?
Okay, I'll see someone wrote blue.
Blue. Okay. Any other color?
Hero brand.
Gold. Of course, there is no gold color here. So like, please select from this existing 4.
So the first one we call it pink, and the second color, what's the name for it? Brown or?
One is pale, one is dark, one is blue, one is red.
Okay. So we call it pale, dark, blue, red. Okay. Any other comments?
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, please help me to select a shape for this hero brand archetype. So we have 2 choices. We have this blobby shape and pointy shape. Which shape you think fits better to a hero brand?
Okay.
Okay. I think people either
so we have one, someone said pointy.
Pointy. Thank you very much. Okay, now help me with the font. Help me with the font. Which font, one of 1, 2, or 3, you think a better fit for brand hero brand archetype?
Okay.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now check this out. You can do it, right? Everyone could do branding. You just need to know the archetype, and then it's easier for you to pick up shapes and the fonts and colors and basically everything. You see? So thank you for your help. You can all do your branding. Okay, but talking about this, so we know stories are the way to go, because human psyche works this way. It's wired to receive, memorize, and put some meaning on the story. Okay, and this also archetype, and with these 2 you can create your brand. Okay, but okay, now you have your brand and your customers. The missing link, like what makes your customers buy your product? Okay, and the answer is, and you can read this about this in the book, The Hero and the Outlaw, and the missing link is motivation, the customer's desire. So go and read in the book. There's this one thing that is called motivation theory, and it's actually what motivates your customers or any people to make any decision. And motivation theory is actually very, very simple. So basically there are 2 motivational axes. On one axe is self-actualization, independence, and fulfillment, and on the other side is social belonging, connection, and community. So what does it mean? For example, I'm sitting at home and my friend Jeffrey calls me and invites me to have a beer with him, right? And I have a choice. I need to decide what to do, right? Either I can stay at home, enjoy myself, watch a movie, read a book, learn something. Or on the other side, I can say, no, better I go into, community. Like I crave for connection. I want to sit down with Jeff and talk about his social life and my life, So it's always like this. You always choose. When there's a choice, you have to choose. And what motivates you more? Your own ego kind of stuff, or like the communal kind of stuff, okay? Or the other X is order, stability, structure, and on the side is achievement, legacy, and change. So what does it mean? For example, I work for a big company, say Microsoft, right? And this Microsoft gives me everything. It gives me like good salary, it gives me some order and stability and structure. And but it doesn't give me so much satisfaction, you know. And my wife comes and she says, look, I know you like your job and everything, it gives you kind of stability, but you know, I see it's a soul-sucking job for you, so you should probably leave, you know, and make this change that you really need for yourself, like a human being, you know, to achieve something, to leave some legacy behind. Because if you work for Microsoft, you invent all this amazing stuff and they just own it. So you need to do it on your own, you know, and leave some legacy for your children and, you know, for your name. So this is basically a motivation theory. What was really great about this book, that these women, Margaret and Carol, they were managed to map customer needs or desires to archetypes. So if desire of the primal desire of a customer is you know, liberation, then you have rebel archetype. If it's transformation, then it's magician. If you need control, okay, there is a ruler archetype for that. Okay, and I created this diagram. It's kind of compass for your archetype selection. Okay, and it basically provides you with this pair. One is like 4 clusters of customer motivation. Yeah, for example, this one, achievement, legacy, and change. And for each desire, okay, you have a branding archetype that should use. Okay. So if we go back to this story, telling pattern discussed in the previous framework, we have 2 characters here. So this is character, this is the hero of the story, and this is your customers. Okay. And we know what motivation there is. Meets a guide, and guide is your brand, your company. Okay. And for that company, you should just use this one of 3 archetypes that align with the desire. Okay, and as soon as you know that, you can easily create some branding guidelines. And branding guidelines, they like consist of 2 parts. And one part is foundations, is your vision, mission, values, what distinguishes you from competition and how you present yourself from the world. So basically the story, right? And also the design part of the branding guidelines, and like logos and fonts and colors and imagery, language and tone of voice. Okay, we can look at this example. Can you see it? So it looks like this. So we made this for this Porter One company, and it's something that you should use. Every company needs to use this branding book when doing everything, you know, everything from the business card to a trade show stand. Okay, you need to use branding guidelines to create everything, every marketing material to make your brand consistent. Okay. So, and the next part is practical examples. And before that, I think this part was the most brain consuming. So if you have any questions about archetypes and storytelling and like the human psychology, please ask now. I'll be happy to answer.
So if you have any questions, feel free to type in the Q&A section. Maybe while we are waiting for people to type, I have also a comment, like what Saša presented before, the branding guideline. It's so important because from our line of work with a lot of startups, many startups don't have a branding guideline, they have a logo. And then when it comes to execution for their Twitter, for their graphic and image and the tone of voice, there's no consistency, there's no distinct character that represent the brand. So I find this workshop is really important, especially many of you guys here, you are in tech space, blockchain space. So it's quite good that you are aware that how important it is and how you can create one yourself. Then when you work with marketing agency or your own marketing team, whatever communication you do, it represents your brand as a character. So it will not look the same as everybody else. Yeah. So we have one question from Cyril. He asked, how does the archetype relate to the product? Does the product determine which archetype we should choose?
Archetype is something that clarifies your brand messaging. Okay, as I showed in previous slides, when you know your brand archetype, it's easier for you not to make mistakes. Okay, because in my practice, you know, businessmen, startups, they come and they present me with their current messaging, and it's really, really noisy, you know, because it's understandable, you know, for you, for businessmen, their product, it's their life, it's your baby, you know, and you love your baby very much. And you say, yes, my baby is his hero, he is a lover, he is, you know, all possible archetypes and ideas and meaning for you, okay? But in storytelling, you know, I explained why storytelling is important. You need to make sure your brand is just one archetype. Let's say a movie, you know, we have this Star Wars movies, right? So in Star Wars movies, you have Luke Skywalker, and he is the character of the story, and he's the hero of the story, right? And then he meets a guide, and this is Teacher Yoda, okay? And Teacher Yoda is Teacher Yoda in all 3 or like how many 5 movies, right? He's always green, he's always small, he's always old, he's always very wise, okay? Imagine what the story would be if in one episode Teacher Yoda is green and very smart, and the other he is red and very angry, and then you know, and then he's blue and very funny in the other episode. You wouldn't be able to connect. You said like this Teacher Yoda is a joke, you know. The movie is a total disaster. And keeping consistency in your brand storytelling with the archetype is an easy thing to do. So brand storytelling, archetype, okay? And the product is the product, you know, like you have bright idea, you made your product and service, and it's great, okay, like sell it. But when you tell a story about when you're selling this product and services, you know, be consistent. You know, if you say it's green, make it green and don't jump, just be consistent. This is it.
Yeah, I want to add a little bit because I would say many products in the blockchain space, they have a platform or they have app. There's some kind of like a user interface. So if you have a product itself, then you have a product itself. You shouldn't change what your product is based on the archetype, but the way how you design your user interface or the colors, the website, the platform, then it should be aligned with the archetype and your brand in a way, the look and feel. We have another question. If you recommend a simple, clear archetype, a simple and a clear archetype, what about a tailored archetype per market segment, generation Z or X, etc., and have different needs and expectations?
And absolutely, I agree with you, but it's on the surface, deep inside of us, you know, in our human architecture, in architecture of our psyche, you know, regardless of your age, generation Z, or people who lived thousands years ago, or people who live 100 years from now, we all share the same psychology. Our hardware is ultimately the same. So instead of targeting, you know, some group of people and then creating different messaging for every group of people, which is very time consuming, requires lots of marketing research, okay? Requires very much, very expensive, very big budget, by the way, okay? Instead of that, you target the primal motivation, something that is inside of every human being, okay? This is why we're talking about bootstrapping, right? Like, let's hack into human consciousness. It's a hack, you know? It's a direct way to, you know, to connect to the heart and feelings, okay? I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think where the question comes from, because usually in the past when people segment their user groups, they always go by like geography, age, gender. But now what we talk about is deep level, is this group of people, they all have the same needs. They all have the same desire, like like Saša said, like at a human psychology level. It's not related to age, related to whatever, everything else. So if everybody has a desire, so let's say in the context of blockchain, everybody has a crypto, everybody has the desire and the need to keep their crypto safe, then your product fulfill the needs. So you don't have to segment by generations, you segment by their fundamental human psychology, what they are needing. Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you have a clear message, okay, it appeals to everyone. For example, I have a friend, he's a policeman, okay? So his mind is really kind of ruler mind, you know, he's very structured. He doesn't let you do any bullshit, you know, he is very like structured guy, you know, but I talk about him about some places in Slovenia, okay, and some of these places has like very clear rebel archetype, so absolutely opposite of what his desires are, of what his internal motivation is. But because their messaging is so clear, so rebellious, he says, I don't go to that place, but I totally understand them, because my daughter is a teenager, you know, and she's so rebellious, and I understand at some point in your life you need to be rebellious, you know. So rebel is not like a bad person, it's just, you know, non-conformist. So it's when you create this messaging that is clear, everyone is able to understand, because it's like part of you. You know, every one of you was a teenager, right? So you understand what this rebellion is, and this is what I'm talking about when you apply archetype to branding. It connects to everyone and makes it clear. It makes it sincere. Okay. If you don't do this, it looks fake. It feels fake, you know. And your customers, when they feel fake, they say, "No, I go to another brand," or, you know, I'm not using it because it doesn't make me feel good. Okay, and what we do here, we do a brand that makes you feel good.
Yeah, it's also very, the archetype what you mentioned, it's great. I like about it that you mentioned, like, you have your brand, then you choose archetype so that your brand is very distinguished. You don't have to be, so the brand should, if the brand were a person, you shouldn't be like ordinary person. If you like everybody else, nobody will remember you. If you have very distinguished character and you keep communicating that character, then people will remember you. So I like this sentence is for people who communicate on branding and or present yourself as personal brand. The sentence says, if you try to please everybody, you please nobody. So you can just be one distinguished character and people will remember you. So it applies to the brand as well. We don't have any other questions, so I encourage the audience. I mean, if any parts that you are not clear, this is really a great workshop, very valuable. If any part that is not clear to you, feel free to comment. We can always talk about it, and Saša can go back to the slides. And if you have any other questions related to branding or marketing, you know, you can always ask here. So we have like 10 minutes or so for you guys, just, you know, ask any questions.
Okay,
So,
if no questions, let's me continue with the practical step. Okay, second, let me share. The practical example. Lucky you, and actually lucky me. Can you see it? Everything is okay with the slide? I don't see it.
It's good.
It's good. Now it's good, or you see the presenter view?
No, it's good.
It's good. Okay, so this is your lucky day. Actually, I'm for the last couple of months, I've been the luckiest person on earth, because during my work, I always have to work. I always have to work with the writers, and it's a really hard thing to do, because you know, like, first you need to you find a writer. Okay, already finding a writer is difficult, and then to train it takes lots of time and lots of money, and then like the writer works for you for a couple of months and then leaves, and you need to do it all over again. So I'm so happy because there is ChatGPT. Okay, and it knows everything. It knows about these platforms and frameworks I told you. So today we're going to have a look at this Web3 marketing agency called Promote at Scale, and try to analyze their branding archetype and create their branding story. Yassi, you okay with that?
Yes, but our new website will go live next month, but we can use this example. Great.
Okay, so if we check this website, okay, what I do was the first thing I always do when I check someone's website or like promotional marketing materials. I try to see what archetypes they are, and for that I just read text. So Promote and Scale, expertise. Okay, so when I see expertise, for me it's already very clear this is Sage archetype. So I scroll here. I don't see much here. But what is most important, my favorite section is what customers say about us, because as we discussed earlier, brand is what they think, your customers. Okay, so if we read here, what I can see, their knowledge is amazing. Okay, Sage. They understood the concept immediately. Smart. Okay, they're Sage. Okay, what can't remember here. Professional, creative, solutionary, man, also Sage. We were amazed by the depth of the research, Sage. Promote and Scale displayed much creativity and industry knowledge, Sage. So for me, this is like 100% Sage brand. Okay, and the next thing I do, I copy paste all the data from their website, and I fed it this data into ChatGPT. So I just asked, please check this company called Promote and Scale, and just copy pasted all the data. Okay, and the next thing I ask, could you define their branding archetype? And ChatGPT answers immediately. So this is Sage archetype. Okay, sorry. The Sage archetype is characterized by a deep desire for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Okay, Sages are known for their expertise and wisdom. So you all agree with me, this is Sage archetype. Very good. So create a copy for Promote and Scale homepage based on their story brand, you know. So, and as I told you, ChatGPT already knows story brand framework. So it writes this. Welcome to Promote and Scale, the Web3 marketing agency that helps startups in the blockchain industry achieve marketing goal. Yeah, we understand your problems and stuff like that. I will share also this document, my my chat with ChatGPT here. Okay, it's all my chat with GPT about promote and scale. It took me about, I don't know, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. And here's my questions and the answers. I was amazed, and I also hope you will be amazed. Okay, and when we first discussed the story, like we need to understand customer pains in order to create the value of your brand, right? And here, please specify separately what problems are external, internal, and philosophical for the hero of the story. Yeah, startups which are customers of Promote and Scale. And read this. This is unbelievable. It totally understands the situation. So difficulty differentiating from competitors, limited visibility and brand awareness, and then internal inconsistent and effective marketing activities, stuff like this. Guys, read it. This is like very, very cool. Okay, and when we have a brand story, we can go and check, the branding components, like brand colors, for example. So I asked ChatGPT, what colors and shapes would you recommend for Promote and Scale? And it goes like, okay, here's blue and green, right? And explains why. I totally agree why, but it doesn't help me very much because, there are 1,000 shades of blue and, 100 shades of green. So I go, okay, ChatGPT, please generate a color palette for me for this Promote and Scale. And it does it. So here to visualize it to you. I'm a designer. I do this, for 30 years. Believe me, this is great. This is just simply great because you don't need to think. It's right there. So if we take this screenshot of Promote and Scale website, you see it's somewhere here. It's very close, So it does a very good job. Next thing you do, like, let's say fonts, and you say, okay, the ChatGPT, please suggest some curated font pairings for Sage archetype and Promote and Scale brand in particular that would really stand out and reflect their deep knowledge and understanding. And it just does its job. I'm using this tool here. It's called typescale.com, where you can, just check how your how your typography will look like. Right, so you select one font here, one font here for headings and another font here for body fonts, and it just gives you like a perfect result. Really, I work with some professors in the Academy of Arts in Slovenia, and they're like they make fonts. They're like really elite of designers here, and what ChatGPT does here, it's really in par with their knowledge and experience. So like this is just two examples of what ChatGPT thinks their font pairing could look like. This is great, this is really great, and it does it for you in a minute, where designer will take a couple of months and give you exactly the same kind of quality of job. Okay. So this is the document. I will share this presentation. Just click here and you see the total, the complete dialogue. What really amazed me, because when I looked at this website, I was just thinking, okay, so this is the Sage archetype, right? And then I see these images. And I know this image. I saw it somewhere many times. I think it's like this free stock images. Okay, and then I go here, and the same thing. This corporate Memphis kind of type of illustrations, with different colors. Not really. These reds are not assigned here. Not familiar for this website. And I think. And this wavy shapes also is like, I don't know. I don't feel this is really like Sage archetype, but still I don't have, I have a feeling as a designer, but I cannot verbalize it such. So I go and I ask ChatGPT, okay, and ask, Okay, current promote and scale website features pale green and wavy shapes and combinations overused stock photos and corporate Memphis characters that, in my opinion, don't really reflect Sage archetype. Explain why is that, why not good fit, and what would be a better fit. And oh my God, you know, it just explains it exactly what I was feeling, but I couldn't explain in words. You know, it says, the pale green wavy shapes may not be the best fit for the Sage archetype because they don't convey a sense of authority and expertise. Okay, while green can be associated with growth and balance, the pale tone used on the website lacks the depth and richness. Okay, that might better reflect the wisdom and the knowledge of Sage archetype. Okay, the wavy shapes also playful and whimsical, but we may not be the right tone and for a brand. So like ChatGPT exactly tells you like what is wrong with the, you know, with the shapes and colors and visual representation. And here's the solution. To better reflect the Sage archetype, promoter scale might consider using images that just suggest growth, wisdom, and insight. That could include images of natural landscape, books, of other symbol of knowledge. Shapes that convey stability, such as triangles or squares, might be more effective. And then I looked at the website again, and I see this logo. And I know why I think this logo may be not such a good representation for Sage archetype, because it doesn't give you stability. You know, if I made this shape out of, I don't know, wood, it wouldn't stay. It would just, you know, fall on the side, right? So what I did here, I created, I placed this logo in some kind of square, and now it has this stability, you know, and stronger color would better represent the brand story, and the brand story would go as follows. I think it's like much clear improvement for archetype aligned improvements of this brand message for promote and scale. And you see, it only took me minutes instead of like days and months and marketing research and stuff like that. So I think this is great. If you want to read more of case studies, you can go to the Brandician website and check our work, and you'll see how we do it. Actually, how we did it before the ChatGPT, but the process is the same. You just ask ChatGPT question, and it tells you honestly what is wrong and what should be done. And the last thing I want to mention is logos and graphics. Okay, while ChatGPT is very good with words, artificial intelligence really sucks at making logos. So no artificial intelligence logos anytime soon. And I believe it's very important to have a good graphics, because visual stuff, it's much faster recognized by people than than the words. So it's really, I believe it's really worth spending more than 1,000 euros for a little logo, because it takes lots of time. Not everyone can do it, and few people who can do it must learn lots of stuff. They must understand the psychology and typography and stuff like that. So here's the plan I give you in order to make your Bootstrap branding, and it goes like this. First, gather all your existing marketing materials, all texts, okay? And then ask your customers why they love you, create some questionnaires, gather their answers, and try to figure out from these answers, as I did, what is the brand archetype, okay? And then to make sure you can ask very wise advice from ChatGPT, feed all the data in the ChatGPT, and ask all these questions that I asked, and then write your story brand script. Okay, and these are like foundations of your branding guidelines. And then give these branding guidelines to designer, with clear instructions what brand you want to develop, and then your branding is pretty much done. Okay, and it's going to be much faster and much cheaper and much more effective. So, and if you do it, you'll be successful, and if you don't, you will probably fail or will not achieve these heights as you do if you do have a good branding. Okay, so here's the end of my presentation. If you need some advice, please don't hesitate to ask me now or to contact me later. Thank you very much.
This is great. We have one question that was asked by Renato before, so maybe we can try to insert the question here. He asked, how would you position the contribution of community influencer in this context?
I don't think I understand the question. I'm sorry.
I think what he meant is that, you know, in community building, for many projects, you have community influencer, and how would they fit into the context of brand archetype type and represent your brand?
Yeah, as another guide, you know, in storytelling, you have a, you know, main character, right? And you have your company as a guide. And so there's another guide. So there could be many guides. You know, I can't remember, like this TV series Friends, right? So one of the friends has some kind of problem, and they go and they ask each friend for an advice, right? And they all give these funny advices, but you see the idea, you know, like they're characters, and you need to give them a voice. So while presenting your this particular story to your audience, you know, position these influencers as guides.
If the influencers already has a large following and represent its own brand, maybe he or his brand represent one archetype. When projects working with these influencers, should they also consider, or is their archetype in line with our archetype?
No. As a brand, you select your archetype and you be consistent. You remember Teacher Yoda, always green. So be green. And when the influencers present your brand, it's clear what you are. It doesn't matter what archetype you are. Just make sure it is only one archetype. So
it doesn't matter what kind of influencer, what kind of branding this influencer has, but as long as the influencer, when they represent your brand, when they communicate your brand, they have to convey it in a way that represents your brand archetype.
Yeah. Select it once and keep going with it. After some time, you'll decide, oh, maybe I need to change brand archetype. Then change it. You know, like this, my company, Porta One, when we were established first, we were like one of the maybe 10 companies in the world doing this voice over IP business, right? And my instinctive idea was position ourselves as the ruler archetype. We were a small company, but I made this presentation and people like immediately thought we like this huge company, corporate guys, suits and ties, you know, and everything. And they bought our software. But after, you know, like 10, 15 years, the market changed tremendously. It was like thousands of companies like ours, doing that. And we couldn't compete more but with the help of the ruler archetype. So we changed our messaging. We switched to everyman archetype because of this kind of family-like atmosphere within the company, and the best industry, best customer care we give, you know, and this level of communication very like normal, you know, we like a family, you know, like everyman kind of archetype thing. And so we were forced to do that because you know, our sales were stagnating and we needed to make a change, and rebranding and like creating new messaging, you know, presenting, like writing a new story, okay, helped us a lot you know, and because in the recent years our sales went up like huge sales again. So like it was like, wow, how much change you can make just with switching an archetype.
Okay. So basically what you meant is that as the business evolves, when you can adapt your brand, you can change the archetype.
Of course, the market evolves, everything evolves, you know, you cannot be, you know, you have a child, right? And first 7 years, it is a child, you know, but if you treat your child after 30 years like a child, there's something wrong, okay? So life changes, you grow, like people grow, brands grow, and change and evolve, and you need to reflect that in your marketing.
Cool. So any other questions from the audience? I know some people had to go. We are over time a little bit, but if you have any questions, we can have one last question. Okay, it's not a question, it's from Cyril. He said, thanks so much. It was a great session. He learned a lot. So thank you so much, Saša.
You're welcome. It's a pity I don't see you, and it's a pity I cannot hug you all.
That's not a problem. You know, you just maybe share with the audience how can they contact you if they would like to have some support or advice on branding for their startups. They can contact you in person. So how can they reach out to you?
I will share this presentation, and all contacts are there.
Okay, cool.
Is it okay?
Yeah. So we will get this and we will share it with maybe we will share it online or Crypto Value Association YouTube channel with in the description. Yeah, so Renato also said thanks so much from his end. Yeah, I feel very grateful for your time, Saša. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience and knowledge with our Crypto Value Association members. In any case, if you guys need some branding help, need additional advice, feel free to reach out Brandician.eu and also Saša in person. If there's no more questions, then let's end the session now. Stay tuned. We'll have more events coming up in the next month. And the last Tuesday in March at 6 p.m. CET is our Startup Working Group monthly online meetup meeting. So feel free to join. So with that, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Yassi, thanks so much for inviting me. A real pleasure.
Okay, cool. Bye, guys. Have a nice lunch.
Bye-bye.